Chelsea have just recorded their biggest win over Barcelona ever after beating them by 3-0 in the Champions League, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at how they did it. We're going to be breaking down the tactics and individual performances that helped Chelsea stop Barcelona. We're also going to be discussing the real reason that Chelsea came out victorious, and no, I'm not talking about that red card, and we're going to be diving into all the goals that gave Chelsea this historic win. Chelsea's task of stopping Barcelona wouldn't be easy. Barcelona are one of the most progressive, most attacking sides in the world currently, and let's not forget that they also have one of the world's most elite talents in Lamine Yamal. So it wasn't going to be straightforward in any way, shape or form, but what they looked to do was really stifle the ability for Barcelona to progress through the centre. To do this, they utilised Enzo Fernandez and Reece James to pin themselves onto Barcelona's deep-lying midfielders. Then you've got Moises Caicedo with that 1v1 duel onto Fermin Lopez, and that looked to try and stifle the way that Barcelona looked to get the ball over towards their right winger, obviously, towards Lamine Yamal. But a key pillar of that and a key pillar of stopping that progression is really utilising the centre of the park and making sure that you're able to block those passing lanes. If the ball was able to go through to Lamine Yamal, though, you then needed to have an extra bit of defence, and that's where Marco Correa comes in. And Marco Correa had a standout and highlight performance for me. He was absolutely sensational. He had 9 defensive actions, which is the most out of any Chelsea player, and only beaten by 2 Barcelona players with 10 each themselves. He also had 5 tackles, the most out of any player in this game, and what that did was cause Lamine Yamal to lose the ball 21 times, the most out of any of the outfield players here. And then when you think about Lamine Yamal, you think about his dribbling capabilities, his ability to take the ball and just drive forwards. He only attempted 5 dribbles in this game, which is so low compared to what his average is. To give you a little bit of context, in his previous game against Athletic Bilbao, what he actually managed was 13 dribbles. He completed 8 of them. He only completed 2 in this game, and that is due to the great work rate and the great tenacity of Marco Correa. 3 of these dribbles, in fact, were actually in his own half, only completing 1 of them and completing 1 of them in Chelsea's half. Really, really impressive defensive display from Marco Correa. But then his ability to then go forwards is also so impressive. Take a look at this. This is his pass map. Now, what is so very interesting is, although, yes, he's going back a little bit, yes, he's going flat a little bit, he's also going vertical. He's able to find these passes forwards. Absolutely key. Finding your winger, making sure that you're able to get into those high pressure scenarios, and making sure you're able to give the ball when it counts and create those moments. And this moment is so very important. And I say that because of the incredibly crucial role that Marco Correa played in the creation of Chelsea's first goal. So they take a short corner, really good, really impressive. They took a couple of these beforehand and caught Barcelona off guard. So what have you got here? Well, what you've actually got is dragging 2 Barcelona players out of the box initially. And what this does is allow Chelsea just to overload that penalty area a little bit more. It also gives them a chance to create a better angle for the pass. So the ball gets played over towards Estevao, who finds Alejandro Garnacho a little bit later. Once Garnacho gets the ball, he plays it really quickly into Marco Correa. Look how he's asking for the ball. Really good. And the amount of time and space that he's got is super important. Notice this Barcelona line as well, how they're trying to push up. In trying to push up, if Correa is onside, you're now forcing the Barcelona players to retreat back into their own box, which is exactly what happens. Look at them sprinting towards their own goal. This is what you don't want, because it causes chaos. You either overstep your run, you either don't mark players well enough. It causes absolute chaos, and this is what Marco Correa really takes advantage of. He plays the ball into the box pretty brilliantly, and it goes over towards Pedro Neto, but we've got a better angle of this right here. Look at this. What you've got here is 1, 2 and 3 Chelsea players being marked individually by 1 Barcelona player, and that is really good for Chelsea because it allows them to create individual situations, individual duels where they're able to really one-up their opponent. And in this particular moment, because of the chaos that has been caused, you're getting the ball into Pedro Neto, who has a fantastic touch. I mean, look at that. The way he's able to backheel it, of course, it goes in off a Barcelona player, but it all gets created by a little bit of magic, a little bit of ingenuity, and it gets Chelsea their first goal. Pretty good. Chelsea were absolutely fantastic in this game, and because there was a red card, a lot of people are going to tell you or imply to you that the red card was the only reason why Chelsea managed to win. And yes, it does create some disharmony within the Barcelona group. It drops Garcia back, it brings back Fermin Lopez, and it forces Barcelona to play with 10 men. Of course, it's a problem, but while it changed the game, it didn't define it, because what defined the game was, for me, something completely different, and that is recoveries. The ability, or rather the difference between Chelsea and Barcelona to be able to recover from either a mistake or an ability for the opponent to go forwards. What I mean by that is utilizing the ability to recover possession once you've either lost it or once you've lost the momentum of the match. Chelsea had 48 recoveries towards Barcelona's 37. Now that might not sound like a lot, but when you take into consideration the pivotal moments that could unfold from certain recoveries, it really does start to shift the trend of the game and shift the way the momentum will swing. And a perfect example of that, and a perfect way that this was dictated throughout the match, was through Moises Caicedo. Take a look at this. Moises Caicedo had 10 recoveries in the entire game. That's more than any other player, and he is all over the pitch in his own half, in the opposition's half, but his aggression was always there. The ability for him to read a situation, recover possession, and then go forwards. This is what Barcelona could not do. The moment they lost the ball, the moment they lost the momentum of the game, their recoveries were not there, whereas Chelsea's were. And this was the main defining moment of the match. And then you're talking about Moises Caicedo being able to find his teammates, get the ball into those attacking areas for them to do their own devastating work. And Chelsea managed to do just that through their own elite talent, it must be said. And if we've talked about Lamine Yamal, we also need to be talking about Esteban. What we have here is Frankie de Jong playing the ball over to Balde. But what's incredibly important is what I just mentioned. The ability for Chelsea to recover possession. The ability for them to anticipate. They were fantastic at this. And Andre Santos right here did a brilliant job of just driving forwards. He wins the ball back pretty brilliantly, and then it goes over towards Reece James, who is then able to look forwards as Esteban makes that driving run and then go on the attack. Once he gives Esteban the ball, it's then about this Brazilian talent. He is a wonder kid. He is a superstar. He goes left, he goes right. He's able to take on his opponent in pretty fantastic fashion. This is one of the best young centre-backs in the world, I might add. He takes him left, he takes him right. It's absolutely sensational, and then blazes it into the roof of the net. Fantastic goal. What a goal. What a talent. It is special. He is special, and Chelsea are very, very fortunate to have him. What a player. Chelsea continuously look to punish Barcelona's defensive tendencies and protocols, and what I mean by that is Barcelona's utilization of their high line. Now this has a number of benefits, one of them being the ability to keep a line high so you're closer to your midfielders, allowing for a real congestion of the midfield to help you win the ball back a little bit faster. Therefore you're faster and closer to your teammates, giving you the opportunity to sustain attacks and go again. But if it goes against you, if it doesn't work, if a team like Chelsea utilise pace in nearly every single avenue of the pitch to try and bypass that high line, it can go horrendously wrong, and that's exactly what happened for Barcelona here. Chelsea had 3 disallowed goals, 2 of them for offside, and it could have been so much more if not for a few more offsides. It was a match made in heaven for Chelsea, but it was quite the opposite for Barcelona, looking to really bypass that high line, utilising those passes, but late runners from deep, trying to make sure you timed that run correctly, was really the way that Chelsea managed to go forwards, and they looked to exploit and punish this high defensive line time after time again. And this is what gave Chelsea their 3rd and final goal. It's fantastic from a Chelsea point of view, less so from a Barcelona point of view. Of course, Barcelona are committing themselves. Of course, they have 10 men. So I completely understand why this game is a little bit stretched. But again, reinforces my point about the lack of recoveries, the extremely high line that they're playing. Look at this high line. It is incredible. Of course, it's understandable. But what have you got here? You've got Pedro Neto driving the ball through the heart of midfield. What I think is really good in this particular point is this is generally where you'd find Enzo Fernandez. But look at where he's in. He is in this left wing slot. He's taking up Neto's position, understanding the key roles of substituting players in and out for positions because you're in different game states. Really, really important, really crucial. And look what you've got. You've got 1, you've got 2, and you've got 3. Esteval's just at the top of your screen if you can't see him. He's over here and he's ready to drive forward. So as the ball goes forwards with Neto, you've now got the options opening up. You've now got the ability for them to play through. And this high line is working to some extent. You've got Liam Delap right here. He's run offside. Enzo Fernandez understands that he can see the entirety of this Barcelona line. He keeps himself onside. Pedro Neto delays a little bit because he's waiting for a particular pass. He's waiting for a real opportunity. Enzo Fernandez stops, and what I really like from Pedro Neto here is he doesn't play this pass. He doesn't play that. Instead, he plays this one between centre-back and full-back. Incredibly important because you're giving Pedro Neto the ability to play that pass, but you're also giving Enzo Fernandez that verticality. It's really, really good from both Enzo Fernandez and from Pedro Neto. It goes through into Enzo Fernandez. He is onside. Absolutely key, absolutely pivotal. This brings Liam Delap back into the game because of the fact that Enzo Fernandez is onside. He's got the awareness, he's got the vision, he's got the ability to play that pass. He gets it into Liam Delap, and of course he scores in pretty emphatic fashion. What a win for Chelsea. As I said, their biggest ever over Barcelona, and I'm sure they will be pretty pleased about that, as will this man, even though he doesn't look it. It was a sensational performance, a sensational win that was dictated by their speed, their tenacity, and the willingness they had to recover possession as quickly as possible and go back the other way. Fantastic. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you, so please do get involved. What did you make of Chelsea? What did you make of Barcelona? And what do you make of Chelsea's emphatic victory? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learnt something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.